It's interesting that the Mishnah often phrases its determination of the status of something or the other in terms of its relationship with the Kohanim. So, for example, the Mishnah begins by asking, when do we read evening Shema? When do we read the Shema in the evening? And it answers, when the Kohanim come in to eat their truma. I mean, that is later defined as the time when the stars come out. But the Mishnah doesn't say when the stars come out. It says when the Kohanim come in to eat their truma. And it's the same with the Sotah. So we've learned that the Sotah ritual is triggered by the jealousy of the husband. And if he says to his wife, don't be secluded with a certain person, and then she's secluded with him in front of witnesses. By the way, the warning has to be in front of witnesses too. So he warns her in front of witnesses, and then she's secluded with him in front of witnesses for a certain period of time. The Talmud actually says it's the time required to roast an egg. So again, really interesting choice of words there. You know, you can sort of think about the egg getting hot in the oven. There's clear, anyway, very, very interesting choice of measure of time there. If she's secluded with him for that length of time, he can trigger this Sotah ritual. And the Mishnah ruled that from the point that he triggered it, she was in this in-between state. So she's forbidden to her husband, and yet she's still married to him. The Mishnah learned, well, we know she's still married to him because if he dies and they have no children, she has to undergo chalitza. So she must be still married. But she's actually forbidden to him. And the way the Mishnah defines it is by saying she can't eat truma. She can't eat truma. And that's where our Mishnah, the third Mishnah in the third chapter, now picks up. Ve'elu asurot milechol bat truma. The following women are forbidden to eat truma. And we presume this is in the context of the Sotah, although the Mishnah doesn't make this clear. But the first one doesn't seem like a Sotah at all. Ve'elu asrot milechol bat truma. These are forbidden to eat truma. Ha'omeret tmeh ani lecha. Someone who says, I am unclean to you. In other words, I've had a sexual encounter with someone else. And we know that a Kohen, in general, by the way, a Kohen isn't allowed to marry someone who's slept around. So if his wife says that to him, he has to divorce her. But in the context of the Sotah, well, in the context, the ritual of the Sotah for someone who suspects his wife, but his suspicions aren't clear. If there are witnesses, let's just go back over the Mishnah. Ha'omeret me ani lecha ve'sheba'u edim shehi tme'ah. She said, oh, I'm unclean to you, and witnesses came that she was unclean. So there is no more question. There's no need to drink the bitter waters. There's no question. She's admitted it, and the witnesses have confirmed it. So why is this relevant to the Sotah? The Gemara suggests that this is a woman who's already drunk the bitter waters and been cleared by them. And really interesting here that the Mishnah, if this is the right interpretation of our Mishnah, the Mishnah seems to be assuming that the testimony of people is more significant than the test of the bitter waters. Really interesting scientific statement on the part of the Mishnah, if this is the case. If not, we're not really quite sure how to interpret this statement, because the others will see the rest of this list are clearly women for whom this ritual's been triggered by the husband, but who are not going through with it. We're not going through with it. Let's carry on with the rest of the list. Ve'ha'omeret eini shotah. she says, I'm not going to drink. I mean, the husband can't force his wife to drink. No one can force the wife to drink. Now, if he's accused her and she refuses to drink, then she can be divorced without her ketubah, without her divorce settlement. So she's under significant financial pressure to drink, but she can't be forced to drink. And if she does refuse to drink, then from that point, she can no longer eat truma. In other words, she behaves as if she's no longer married to him, even though he hasn't yet given her the get, given her the bill of divorce. What's the next one on the list? Her husband doesn't want her to drink. It seems as if the husband has changed his mind. I mean, this is an embarrassing and it's a degrading ritual. As we learn later Mishnayot in the tractate, we'll just see this is a real test for the woman. It's not just drinking the whole. There's a humiliation and a degradation in the test that is far beyond just drinking the bitter waters. So maybe the husband changes his mind. But in this case, his wife's in this limbo position. She's accused. She's not fully married to him, but she's not divorced either. And the halakha in this case, by the way, is that he has to divorce her. But in this case, he actually gives her divorce settlement. So, if her husband doesn't want to make her drink, he gives her a bill of divorce with the financial settlement. And this is the last one. And her husband had sex with her on the road. This is the road to Jerusalem. This is the road to the Sotah ritual. Why is this important? Well, we've learned that from the moment that he triggers this process, she's actually forbidden to him. She's forbidden to him. So they can't have sex. But the rabbis learn that the whole business of the Sotah tests both her and him. It doesn't work. It doesn't work unless he also is innocent. The rabbis learn this out from the final verse in Bamidbar, in Numbers, which describes the whole ritual. We're in chapter 5. It's verse 31. It's the end of the description. And this verse says, V'nikah ha'ish me'avon. The man shall be clear from sin. Now, the pshat, the simple reading might be that the man is clear from sin, that he hasn't sinned by making his wife drink. But the rabbis don't read it this way. The way they read it, the way the Midrash reads it, and the way the Halakha reads it, V'nikah ish me'avon, the man shall be clear from sin. The way the rabbis read it is that this whole business doesn't work unless the man is free from sin. And we learned in the Mishneh Torah from Maimonides that nothing here works unless the man is free from sin. And Rabbi Yehuda Nasi actually suspended the Sotah ritual at a certain point. So we must be at the end of the 2nd century of the Common Era, because apparently there were no men left who were free from sin. So if they have sex on the journey, he's no longer free from sin. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. He'll have to divorce her, and he'll have to give her ketubah. So how do they prevent this happening? Kitzad osela, how does he deal with it? What happens next? They go to the Bet Din in their local place, so the place where they live, or he brings her to the Bet Din in the place. And they appoint for him 2 Talmidei Chachamim. They appoint for him, by the way, not for her. They appoint for him 2 Talmidei Chachamim, 2 scholars. Shema yavo aleha baderech, in case he should have sex with her on the journey. So you can imagine he's traveling to Jerusalem. They're gonna see the court of 71. This is the great Sanhedrin. This is 71 scholars. It's a big deal, actually. Big deal being a Sotah. And so accompanying them on the way to the court of 71 are these two gray-haired scholars. And their job is to make sure that he doesn't have sex with her during the journey. Now, Rabbi Yehuda is going to disagree. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ba'ala ne'eman aleha. Rabbi Yehuda says her husband is trusted with her. I guess Rabbi Yehuda's reasoning is that, gosh, he's trusted with her normally. So, for example, when she's niddah, he's trusted not to have sex with her. So why can't we trust him now? I think the reasoning of the sages is that niddah is an awesome prohibition. That there's a punishment of karet, of cutting off having sex with your wife if she's niddah. Whereas this is only a commandment of the sages, and somehow the rabbis are more concerned about transgressing a minor command than they are concerned about transgressing a major one.